I know many of you never discuss this theme with your doctor. It feels too personal, embarrassing, and some people think, well, everybody lives like this, it must be normal, but it's not normal. When you are constipated, you usually get trapped in a vicious cycle. At first, your stomach hurts, constant gas, bloating, cramps. By the second or third day, the pain seems to fade, but things don't really get better. That's because your body starts going into a mild state of intoxication, basically self-poisoning. You feel nauseous or may even vomit. You can't eat, and eventually you realize you need to do something. So you take a laxative, and what follows is a powerful, sweeping diarrhea that clears everything out like an avalanche. For a short while, you feel relief, but soon enough the cycle repeats itself. Watch this video until the end to learn how to break this cycle once and for all. Because of some advertising, people often imagine the digestive system as something like a plumbing pipe. If there is a blockage, you just need to push it through and the pipe will be clear again. But your digestive system is not just a hollow tube connecting your mouth and your anus. It's a highly complex, fine-tuned system. It's regulated by your brain, your spinal cord, and the whole enteric nervous system, and countless hormones secreted both inside and outside of your gastrointestinal tract. A pipe is dead material, plastic or metal. Your digestive system, on the other hand, is made of living cells, and it's home to trillions of microorganisms that actually help you maintain health. That's why very aggressive pipe cleaning approaches can be harmful. You wouldn't try to fix a computer with a hammer, isn't it? And yet people treat their intestines like they're plumbing to be flushed out. Constipation is usually not just about waste accumulating. It's a dysfunction of the system itself. The real solution is correcting the cause, not just forcing out the result. So let's define what constipation really is. Normal bowel frequency ranges from 3 times a day to 3 times a week. If you're having a bowel movement less often, for example, only once a week, that's constipation. Constipation can be acute or chronic. Acute intestinal obstruction is a medical emergency. It often requires hospitalization, sometimes even surgery. In this case, stool becomes so hard and stuck in one part of the intestine that despite peristalsis, the natural movement of the gut, it simply won't move forward. Why is this dangerous? Because the stool presses on the walls of the intestine, cutting off blood supply. Without oxygen and nutrients, that section of the bowel can literally die. That's when surgery becomes necessary. But in most cases, people deal with chronic constipation. That's what we'll mainly talk about today. Because if you have an acute obstruction, you are hopefully on your way to the hospital not watching this video. So what causes constipation? First of all, poor intestinal motility. The gut simply doesn't move food along effectively. Food lingers too long, irritates the intestinal walls, and slows digestion. We will discuss what you can do with it. Watch till the end. The second reason is lack of water. If you don't drink enough and eat mostly dry food, your stool will be too dry. The intestine naturally reabsorbs water. So by the time stool reaches the colon, it can be hard and compact, like little stones that get stuck, especially at bends of the colon. That's why cramps often feel worse in certain spots, here and here. The next one is diet composition. Some foods stimulate peristalsis, for example, fibers. Others slow it down, mainly large amounts of fat and protein. If you eat heavy, fatty, protein-rich meals without enough fruits, vegetables, or whole grains, food sits in your gut for too long. Bacteria then start breaking down proteins into toxic byproducts. At the same time, dietary fat makes your intestinal lining more permeable, allowing those toxins to pass into the bloodstream. The liver tries to neutralize them, but often can't keep up, leading to intoxication. Historically, during the Victorian era, the wealthy people ate mostly meat, with very few vegetables or fruit. Almost everyone had constipation at that time. The lesson here isn't that you must stop eating meat altogether. It's about balance. Everything is about balance. The next one is low physical activity, probably the most common cause. Anyone who has taken a long road trip or a long flight or been bedridden with a broken leg knows how quickly constipation sets in when you stop moving. Medications. Many drugs and supplements have constipation as a side effect. In particular, the wrong combination of medications can cause certain additional side effects, such as constipation. But before blaming your medication, make sure you have eliminated all other, more obvious causes. And the last reason is medical conditions. For example, after a stroke, the intestines may become less active. So how do you deal with it? Most people turn to laxatives or enemas. They work quickly, and sometimes they are necessary, of course, but long-term they cause big problems. Laxatives usually trigger diarrhea. That means massive fluid loss, plus loss of vitamins and minerals. Your electrolyte balance gets thrown off. Remember, digestion isn't just about transportation of food through your gastrointestinal tract. It's about absorbing nutrients that fuel your body. If everything rushes through too quickly, absorption doesn't happen. Over time, that leads to deficiencies and malnutrition. Laxatives also cause the intestine to become lazy. It forgets how to move on its own, and it's called intestinal atony. You become dependent on laxatives and enemas, unable to have a bowel movement without outside help. On top of that, both diarrhea caused by laxatives or enemas wash away your gut microbiome, the beneficial bacteria in your colon. These bacteria produce vitamins, process nutrients, support your immune system, and even train immune cells not to attack your own body. Without them, your immunity weakens and risks of autoimmune disorders and allergies rise. That's why overusing laxatives or some folk remedies like drinking spoonfuls of oil is so harmful. It's also a kind of thought that we have some kind of mechanism inside us that is stuck and we need to lubricate it from within with some oil or something like that. But our body is a living system, not just metal or plastic. Oil on an empty stomach can irritate the intestine's lining, trigger excessive bile release, and cause inflammation and diarrhea. It wipes out beneficial bacteria, leaving only the ones that feed on fat, and those tend to cause bloating and discomfort. Your gut microbiome changes depending on how you feed it. In fact, your digestive system is less like a plumbing system or something like that, and more like a small farm. Imagine you have two pens, one with pigs and another with cats. Now, if you feed both groups with pig feed, what will happen? Eventually, the cats will die. That's exactly what happens in your gut when you fuel it primarily with fat. Only the bacteria that can live on fat will survive. But beneficial species like lactobacilli, bifidobacteria, and other symbiotic microbes don't thrive on fat. They eat polysaccharides, the long chains of carbohydrates found in vegetables, fruits, grains, and dairy. If you don't eat those foods, good bacteria simply die off. The difference is cats would take a week or two to die with no food, but your gut bacteria shift much faster. Just a few days of eating a very fatty diet with little or no plant foods can change your microbiome dramatically, and not in a good way. You'll quickly develop a bacterial community that causes bloating, discomfort, and overall poor digestion. On the other hand, the good news: just a few days of eating healthy, more fiber-rich vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean protein would help nurture the beneficial bacteria that protect you and improve your digestion. So you might be asking, okay, then what should I do? If I can't rely on laxatives and I can't just drink oil, how do I deal with constipation? Good news? There is a way out. But before I get into the recommendations, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss my next videos. And please share this video with your friends and family. A lot of people struggle with constipation many years, and it's time we finally break this cycle. The very first step to get your intestines working properly again is very simple. You need to move. No one's saying you have to go out tomorrow and run 5 kilometers. Absolutely not. But you do need to stay active, because when you move, your intestines move with you. You've probably noticed this yourself. When you are more active, for example, on vacations, maybe you hike more, swim, take long walks, work in the garden, your digestion usually feels better. You feel lighter, healthier, and constipation happens less often. That's no coincidence. When your body is active, the organs of your digestive system and the smooth muscles in them also become more active. On top of that, when you train your skeletal muscles on the outside of your body, the muscles inside your body, like in your blood vessels and digestive tract, start working better too. Here's another important point. When you are sitting or lying down, gravity isn't helping food move down your digestive tract. The food mass just sits there, and it's harder for your intestines to push it forward. But when you're standing, walking, or moving actively, gravity works with you, and it's easier to move the food down. That's also why you shouldn't eat big meals right before bed. At night, you are lying down, your intestines slow down, and by morning, it's much easier to end up constipated. So our first solution is movement. Even a 5-10 minute walk after meals make a difference. Research shows that aerobic exercises like brisk walking for just 6 weeks can increase beneficial gut bacteria even without any dietary changes. But notice, your movements should engage the core and legs. Brisk walking, cycling, marching with high knee lifts, pulling your legs up to your stomach while you're lying down, and rotating your pelvis, squatting. Your training should engage the lower part of your body to affect the gut. Second is fiber. You don't need any supplements, powders, or psyllium husk in a jar to get more fibers in real life. Just eat more whole foods. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, and dried fruits. The key is unprocessed fiber, like oats you cook for several minutes, for example, not instant oats. Eat fruits and vegetables raw and unpeeled whenever possible, since much of the fiber is in the skin. You don't need to completely change your diet overnight. Just make a few small adjustments. For example, with every meal, try to eat at least one raw vegetable. Add at least one not too sweet fruit during the day, and include a glass of fresh green salad and 1 tablespoon of mixed seeds and nuts. Aim for at least 35 grams of fiber a day. Third is water. If you are dehydrated, your stool becomes hard and dry. Drink enough, about 1.2 to 1.5 liters a day, more in hot weather. In winter, when drinking plain water feels harder, try unsweetened warm drinks like tea or fruit infusions. Of course, if you are badly constipated right now, you may need a laxative just to reset. But after that, the smarter path is lifestyle change. More movement, more fiber, more water. These are small, realistic changes, not like huge sacrifices. Too often we rely on pills or quick fixes, but most of our health problems come down to lifestyle. Change that and you'll change your health. You might be wondering, why do I explain the digestive system in such detail? Wouldn't it be simpler to just say drink more water, move more, eat more fiber? Sure, that would take 10 seconds. But when advice comes across like an order, do this, don't do that, it rarely sticks. Maybe you follow it for a week or for a month, but eventually your brain looks for excuses to stop. When you understand why your body works this way, you are more motivated to make lasting changes. You do it not because some doctor or blogger said so, but because you know the mechanism. You know that your gut bacteria eat fiber. You know that exercise literally activates your intestines movement. And once you understand that, these habits stop feeling like order and start feeling like self-care. That's the purpose of this channel, to help you understand yourself better, so you can take care of your health from a place of knowledge, not just obedience. Subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more videos. I hope this helps you live healthier, happier, and better than before. See you in the next videos.